what is from source? As people wake up and go on this journey, there's a lot of discussion. I wasn't aware of it until I started doing this work because, and I mean work as in publicly working with people on their readings and hearing the stories and working with other colleagues because I did everything internally myself. The majority of my journey was a self-discovery journey, following my own intuition, read a few books here and there, but mostly my own intuition guiding me. But there's this aspect of the journey, and it's the label source. First of all, source is a label we need to get rid of. There are labels, and they get, I'm not sure the right word to use right now, but they get they have preconceptions placed on them. And one of the ones is with source, that if it is not from source, directly from source, it is not necessarily trustworthy. Let me be clear with this as you're on your journey. Let me explain this to everybody. And this is important if you're waking up, and this is important if you're a channel already, a psychic, whatever word label you want to use, for understanding what source actually is. Source is the energy of the universe. One of my guides is saying it's like the energy that runs the universe, that binds the universe, the energy of oneness, the energy of everything. It is not a god. It is not benevolent or malevolent. It just is. Source just is. It has no benevolence. It has no malevolence. This idea that people, when they tap into things and they're tapping into source, they're tapping into the background energy of the universe. It's not a being. And you're using your intention, your ability to create and co-create. When, for example, when I say in my protections that I teach people when they're starting off to learn their sovereignty, I say, imagine a beam of light from source. It's source energy, beautiful, loving, pure source energy. That is a way of creating an intention that pulls the purest of energies into your system that are not from outside. They're pure base energies, untainted by anything else, of the intention that you have set. It is not a God sending you energy. It is your intention that magnetizes you to it. Your intention creates that beam from the energy that binds us all, from the oneness that binds us all, from the creation of the universe. The universe was created, and you can imagine it as a ball of energy. That something created our universe as a ball of energy. But once it created that ball of energy would be what a lot of people would think is source. Once it created that ball of energy, it's like if this, whatever created it from outside, and we'll call that the creator, which I'll get to in a second. So the creator creates this ball of energy and adds rules and regulations and how is this universe going to work, and then turns it on and it starts running and it starts expanding, and then everything in it kind of just happens on its own per the laws of the universe. And so you have different universes. You have a universe of sound, you have a universe of light, you have our universe, you have parallel universes to us because similar balls of energy have been created, turned on, and maybe a condition was tweaked and changed. But this idea that source is benevolent or malevolent is false, because it's not. It's neither. It is the background energy of the universe. It is the energy running everything. And when people tap into messaging and channeling, the majority of people are not tapping into source when that happens. They're tapping into galactics, angels, other beings who are intermediaries to higher energy. Because to tap in to higher energy would be destructive to our frequency. Our frequency dictates what we can access on our own. Our frequency dictates what we can access on our own, is what the words they're using. And that is why somebody at a low frequency cannot experience higher frequency beings. That's why they cannot experience seeing an angel, hearing them, or a fairy, which is lower frequency, or these other beings, because their low frequency caps them from experiencing higher. Source is the highest of frequencies. It is the ultimate frequency. And you have 12 chakras that we know of right now from the colleagues that I work with. There are 12 chakras. Most people think there are 7. It goes higher. And it goes higher because what happens is 7th chakra is like you're able to access that background information a little bit. But when you go higher, you can access higher vibrational beings. Galactics is a chakra, angelics, oneness, all this other stuff. Source, typically when people are channeling, they're working with an intermediary who can access fully. I'm asking them how to say this exactly, because it's going to trigger some people, because it's not what you think it is, and I'm trying to get the right words. Source, like when you access what you feel is source, and especially people who just wake up and they're like, oh, I woke up and I felt God, I was with God. God does not exist in the human perception of a being. The God you're feeling is the oneness frequency. You're waking up. You're feeling oneness for the first time, and that feels like enlightenment, like God, like being loved and held and all this beauty and wrapped up and comforted. But it is not God in the sense of biblical religious ideology, and that's the problem, that people have this perception based on religion type stuff. It is energy. That's all it is. It has no benevolence. It has no malevolence. Its purpose is to be energy. And when you wake up to oneness, you're waking up to the oneness energy of the background energy that created the universe, which is love, which is the energy of love, but allows for choice in existence. And choice is where you get benevolence, malevolence, lessons, karma, all this other stuff, all these other laws of the universe. So a lot of people wake up on their journey and they start channeling, they start talking to other beings, and then they go into meditation and they feel, and it's usually perceived as like gold and white light. And when you go into that space, there's this oneness space of energy that is gold and white light. It's a frequency. It's not a being, it's a frequency of this universe, of this background energy of the universe. And it is a frequency at which many beings exist. That is where humans are headed in the future. Not sure it's going to be in my lifetime that they just naturally exist at that state and frequency of oneness. It is higher than your crown chakra. So there will come a time where they exist naturally in that oneness frequency. That is what a lot of people feel is source, is God, and all that. But really, you're talking to other beings who live in this frequency. And the oneness frequency is something that is heart-centered. The beings that live there, and again, I always say, It's not a 100% rule. Everything has choice. Even angels have fallen. The stories of fallen angels, that's true. Those are true stories about beings who made choices and lowered their vibration. Does not mean they're malevolent. The story fallen, high vibration, fallen to lower vibration and had to rise back up. And a lot of angels have. They've gone through that journey because we have choice in this universe. We have choice to do what we wish. And so some of them have seen bad things going on or seen this or that, and they want to fix it. But in doing it, they create karma. They create lower vibrational baggage that drops them down, and they are in essence fallen. The energy of source is not malicious or benevolent. It just is. This energy that people describe as source, it just is. So when people say that is not of source, source does not have malevolence or benevolence. It just is. It just exists. It is the universe. Now, you could argue that when people talk about source, they're talking about creator energy outside of the universe. No human can access this energy. You have to use an intermediary, is what I'm being told from angelic type of energies. This is because the frequency is so outside of our comprehension that there are intermediaries. Now, the stories go that when the universe was created, whoever created it brought it into existence and then sent beings in from other universes who were capable of the comprehension and understanding of who they were, and dropped them in this universe to start creating in this universe. Those would be like your archangels. Those would be like your highest vibrational beings who exist here, that some of them were likely dropped in at the very early stages, and they started creating, different races and beings and all this other stuff. Like, they have reached such a vibrational space of existence that they can connect beyond the walls and kind of understand what's going on beyond that. But even when I tap in, I'm not saying even when I, like, as in I'm more advanced than everybody can tap into this. But when I tap into this and I ask them about it, it just feels like a brain, like your body's going to explode, is the feeling they give me, that if they truly connected you to something outside this universe, your energy would just like disintegrate, because the frequency is so much higher, so much more powerful, and so different than what we experience here. So that it's like we cannot, as a human in our current form, experience the true creator outside the walls of the universe, which is what some people might equate to source. We can understand concepts. We're told like that there are different universes, that there's a primordial ooze, that there's all this other stuff. We can understand these concepts. But to truly be connected to what created us beyond would be like just impossible. It's like when they try to show me, it's like there's so much energy that just condenses in your body, and it's like it's just gonna burst and disintegrate your body if you do it. So no human, and don't worry about it. That's not gonna happen. It's, you can only access what frequencies you have available to you. On rare occasion, you can access higher, for those who are in very, very low vibrations, you might understand that by taking psychedelics and those types of things. You can access higher vibrations. But that type of outside energy is vastly different than what we experience in our universe. So we use intermediaries that are energies who have come from outside, or have been directly created in a way that they can be an intermediary to what is considered source. Okay. And that would be like I said, like your archangel, highest of the high vibrational energies. But even then, and this is clear, they are an intermediary. Nothing that you experience in this world, nothing is from source in the sense of a being that is an ideological God type energy. Everything is through an intermediary. Channelers work through intermediaries. It's taking a second because I have some energy running through me. Channelers work through intermediaries. Channelers might say this is from source, but what they don't understand is they're working through an intermediary. Now, what the other part in there, usually working through like a galactic, an angel, something very, 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 very high vibrational. Does not mean it's malevolent when I say it's not from source. Be clear about that. Most of them are benevolent, but they're getting the information from an intermediary. And sometimes those intermediaries are getting information from other intermediaries, but it's usually oneness frequency. When people say from source, they're accessing oneness frequency. And so oneness frequency feels like source because it's oneness. You feel one with everything in the universe, one with everything. Like you can do anything, access anything, feel love, feel held, all that. So it's felt as source, and a lot of people confuse it early on in the journey because they've never felt it before. And you can actually access higher than that frequency. But oneness frequency gets confused. And then you get people who say, well, channeling isn't from source because you're channeling a galactic. Yes, if I channel a galactic and I put it out there, I'm doing it to help people understand galactics exist. I'm not saying this is straight from source. And I always, if you watch my videos, I'm always like, you work with these beings, you learn to protect yourself. You learn discernment, you learn all this other stuff. I do it to help people understand their existence. None of it is from source. They aren't accessing source. We can all access source in the sense of the background energy of the universe, the energy, the oneness, the thing that holds it all together. And in doing that, you access all knowledge, all wisdom, it's oneness. You can access that's the word, oneness. You're one with the universe. You are the universe. You're in connection with everything. So you can access things like you're getting it from this ultimate source energy of love. But there's still intermediaries. There's still those types of things. And source is not like a benevolence or a malevolence, and people will attach that from source, therefore benevolent. It's not true. Source has no benevolence or malevolence. Source is an energy of existence and creation that had rules put in place. The rules of the law of one, if you're familiar with that, a lot of people call it the law of one, where you have rules of karma and entropy and all this other stuff. That crosses over into physics too. Like the rules of physics kind of cross over with the law of one. But you have these rules of how the universe works. That's all source is. Source is the background energy of this space. And oneness is oneness with all of creation, which is beings, galactics, angels, faeries, dragons, unicorns, Sasquatch, mermaids, interdimensionals, extradimensionals, whatever word you want to use. Anything that vibrates and accesses that oneness frequency is there. So that oneness frequency connects you to all of them. In connecting you to all of them, because they're connected to the oneness too, you can go into that gold white source space of light and feel like you are being held by the universe and God, and ask any question and receive the answer, because it's the knowledge of here, all of existence, all oneness tied together, and feel very held and loved in a way that you have never felt loved before, because you have not operated in that space. Even when you operate from your heart space, it is a far more powerful thing to be in the oneness frequency with an open heart space. Far more powerful thing. And so don't equate the word source with benevolence or malevolence. If you're channeling, if you're doing this stuff, you have to use your discernment to understand what you're working with, who you're working with, where you're getting the information. Because even if it's from an archangel, people will say, oh, this is from source. It's not, it's from an archangel. If it's from an archangel, say it's from an archangel, because it is of source. Of source, not from source. Source is not like, it's just the background. It's just the workings of the universe. It is of source, meaning the archangel is tied into those higher vibrations, and the knowledge and wisdom they are giving you is the knowledge and wisdom of oneness in all time, which can make it seem like it's something far greater. But that does not mean that if you're working with a galactic fairy and somebody's like, oh, well, that's not from source, that it is malevolent. So just keep that in mind on your journey, that is a, look at my notes here, because there was somewhere else. Oh, that's what they wanted me to talk about. There's this idea that it equates malevolence and benevolence, and people will say the words from source when it's actually not accurate, because, like I said, it's all background energy, and you're usually working with intermediaries in this oneness frequency, and this oneness frequency gives you access to all this stuff that makes it feel so much alive and beyond anything. And I've felt it before, where you think you are talking to God. You're not talking to God. You're in oneness. You're in a space of love and oneness, which makes it seem like that. Buddhists would call it enlightenment. You're in a space of enlightenment. It's energy. That's it. There's no malevolence or benevolence to it. There is no I want to be careful with this, because the words they're telling me is there's no consciousness to it. It is the pure energy of the universe, the pure energy the universe runs on. There is consciousness within it, but it itself is just the pure energy of the universe. So the other thing that came up was there are some things coming out, especially as we move forward, about like Reiki being outside of yourself, which I agree with. All healing, Reiki, for those who don't know, is energy healing, a form of it, very commercialized form of it. All healing is done within yourself. And one of the videos a colleague put that I shared of his was about channel books and things like Reiki not being from source. This is true, in that healing should all come back to yourself. Yes, it should. It should come back to yourself. But these are tools to help you on your journey. They're stepping stones to bring you to sovereignty. So just because something is not from source is not to vilify it. It is a tool, a stepping stone. Like Reiki is typically where people end up for often just one class, for those who are really, really accelerating their internal healing, where they wake up to energy healing. And then you work energy healing on yourself, and you go do the inner processes and shadow work and all this to heal yourself, and realize you can heal yourself. You don't need a healer to heal you. Where a lot of people mess up is they do Reiki and then they go and take on clients and then they start doing energy work with the clients, but not actually teaching them to heal at the same time. They just do the energy work, the client goes off, feels better, 2 weeks later they come back because they don't know how to heal themselves. And the key is, if you're an energy healer, if you're a true healer of any kind, if a client comes to you, you're going to heal them in that moment. In that moment, you're going to use your tool set to heal them in that moment and teach them, now go do this. Now go do X, Y, Z and do it on your own. And if they keep coming back, the healer is going to be like, why aren't you doing X, Y, Z? Why aren't you healing on your own? You don't need to keep coming back to me. Like, I can heal you, I can fix you up. It's like somebody, I don't have a good analogy for this, but let's just say, here's a good one. Let's say you're a cook and you're using a knife, but you're not holding the knife right and you keep cutting yourself because you're not holding the knife right. You go to the doctor can stitch you up, can give you antibiotics, can do this stuff and can heal you. And the doctor's like, okay, now you're going to heal. Don't hold the knife like that again. And you go back and you keep holding the knife, you keep cutting yourself, you're going to keep going back to the doctor and needing them to heal you, when all you have to do is hold the knife right and learn how to hold the knife right. And so it's this idea that healers are supposed to use their tools, the tools in their tool set, to help people heal in the moment and then teach them how to not rely on them in the future so that that person can heal internally on their own. Now, those tools are not from source in the sense of a direct God, universal thing, because nothing is. As I explained, nothing is truly that, because it's just energy. It's oneness energy. It's this energy that created the universe and had roles turned on, and then consciousness came to be within it. Individual consciousnesses with their own experiences, with their own agendas even, depend, vibrational frequencies and actions based on those vibrational frequencies. So like Reiki came from, if I remember the story, some guy went on a mountain and got it from another being and brought it down and shared it with the world and tried to disseminate it. Most of the tools we know are from other beings. So they are not from a source. They are of source, because what is source? Source is the background energy of creation. So as long as it was created in this universe, it is of source. That means everything in this universe is of source, benevolent and malevolent. It does not matter if it is benevolent or malevolent. If it was created within this universe, within the rules and constructs of this universe, it is of source, not from source, of source, meaning created of the rules, the energies of this universe. So in that creation of that energy, beings get created. They figure out ways to interact with source energy, to pull source energy into people, to teach people, to heal them. They create methodologies for the frequencies that they exist on. We have a physical frequency, so we create methodologies of healing. Sound is a background tool of the universe. It's a frequency. Sound is just frequency. Sound is more of source than anything else because sound is frequency. Light is frequency, so light is more of source than anything else because it is all frequency. But it is not like it is given by the universe. It is the beings that were created through the mechanics of this structure of energy that end up creating methodologies to help them. And in that space, are able to release these tools to help people ascend and grow consciously. So nothing is truly of source from source. I'm going to go into a part 2 here soon. Nothing is truly from source is what I meant. Nothing is truly from source. It is of source if it is created within the constructs of this universe. There's one more thing. I want to go into some of these other tools, but I'm going to do that in another video here. Crystals, other types of stuff, and explain this in a little more detail. Thank you for watching. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Love you all.